This is video 5 of storytelling tools, and this tool is all about expressing your creativity. And to understand how this entire thing works, how you create your own footprint, your identity as a storyteller, because every storyteller has their own creative pattern. What makes their work something special, something that is not like other stories. You can see immediately the difference between their stories and the other stories. For example, One Piece, JoJo, The Song of Ice and Fire, Lord of the Ring. And Lord of the Ring might seem familiar because it inspired the entire fantasy genre. Like, you see the generic elf and dwarf everywhere now. But Tolkien actually invented those tropes. But you can see the creativity pattern. And that's what with creativity pattern, I mean the identity and the footprint of the work. So let's talk about this now. So what is creative pattern, or how you create your own creative pattern? So when you write a story, you solve problems, and there are thousands of problems. Like literally, there are so many problems. There'll always be a new problem. And the way you solve those problems, it depends on what kind of story you want to tell, but the way you solve those problems, each problem that you solve over the time, for example, how a character speaks. For example, a problem can be you create a new character. Now, and that's the problem. So the problem is uniqueness. He should look a little bit different or speak a little bit different. And that's an opportunity for you to express your creativity. You can add a completely new body shape. You can add a new element. You can add a completely new dialogue pattern. You can add a unique laugh. For example, in One Piece, like the body shapes are out, like they're not ordinary. And you can see it immediately because it's One Piece-like. And if a character laugh completely different, it's also One Piece-like. Or you can go the fashion route, for example, JoJo. Or you can completely come up with something new. Like these problems that you solve and express your creativity will compound over the time. And these problems that you solve over the time will create your creative pattern, what makes your identity you. And for example, that was just one example with one character. And you can do it with world building, how the building looks like, how two characters interact with each other, how they fight, and how you build up stakes, how you build up villains, how you defeat them. Like there can be so many things. And let's take an example, okay? Let's take Dragon Ball as an example. Dragon Ball is a very unique story. I have a lot of problems with it, but still, it's very unique. You can see Akira Toriyama personality, his footprint, and everything. But in the newer version of Dragon Ball Super, it's a new story. The characters are not behaving the same. The way the author solves problem is completely different. Like in Dragon Ball Super, the entire problem solving is systemized. Like we have God, and then we have mentor God, and then we have the other gods, and then we have the upper God, and then with the villains, and it's just not there anymore. Like Akira Toriyama solved his problem like completely different in a unique way. And he started with a boy in a dark forest, like the way he described it. And then we moved to galaxy type of villain, like the Boo. And the way he did it was still very unique. And now the entire thing is systemized, like comes across as if a child created his own version of Dragon Ball, which is more color, more powerful villain without any uniqueness. And that's how you can see the difference, because Dragon Ball Super and Dragon Ball Original are not the same by any means. Like they are a completely different show. That's being an author, like solving problems, the right problems over the time. And those problems will compound literally and make your own footprint. And don't forget that every problem is just an opportunity for you to be more creative.